Good morning. Welcome back to another Tuesday. Our favorite day of the week is we get to be with you guys, and I get to be with my friend Matt. Unfortunately, being with Matt right now means joining him via Teams meeting, as he's literally across the country hanging out in California today. So good to see you, Matt, although it's virtual.
Yep, absolutely. I'm glad to be here. Pretty cool background behind me. Unfortunately, lighting's not very good, so you see this dark drape, which was the best alternative. But can't wait for another episode.
Yeah, good. Thanks, buddy. Be safe out there, and good to be back. Matt and I were talking about some of the things and themes of our coaching calls over the past couple weeks, and it's always amazing how we hit on so many similar notes. And this week's similarity for us was this concept of speeding up to or slowing down to speed up. See how I did that? I started to speed up and got ahead of my thoughts. But this concept of slowing down so that we can accelerate and speed up the discovery process and speed up all of our cycles. It doesn't happen with us just rushing in. Right? We need to exhibit patience sometimes, so we can pump the brakes a little bit and make sure we're extracting all the good information we need, extracting all that intelligence that we need to truly help our clients and our customers as best we can. So, Matt, tell me a little bit about some of the experiences you've had with slowing down to speed up here recently.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I do that, I liken this to the law of gravity. Everything that goes up must come down, and the law of gravity of sales is something that is speeding up and moving very fast will eventually slow down. So we want to flip that around. We want to slow it down intentionally. And how do we slow it down? We slow it down by asking questions, open-ended questions, to ultimately speed up. We're never going to manipulate. We're never going to be able to get someone to close a deal or do something that they're not ready to. But it's slowing down to live in discovery, to diffuse those bombs, and really understand things that fall out at the end of the sales cycle, or far too often after the sales cycle is over and someone else might have been selected or no decision has been made. So, much like the law of gravity, the law of slowing it down to eventually speed it up, because ultimately it will always speed up, but we want to use that to our benefit. But yeah, I think for us, we see this happening in a few different scenarios. I think we see it when we're very comfortable with the person across the table from us, whether we have a like personality, whether we've built great rapport, we've sold to them previously, or we just hit it off. Bill, I'm sure you hear that term as often as I do. It just felt good. That was a great meeting because we hit it off,
Yeah,
and it's
we
it.
had
It's
so
it.
much in common. We had so much in common. Know so many of the same people, and
Yep,
and it's funny. Those are the moments that get us out of the process, right? When
correct.
we have those type of encounters, they're the ones where we abandon the process, and we decide that we're gonna just, there's no need for me to ask this next question. There's no need for me to learn more about the decision process. There's no need for me to stay in the moment because we have such a good relationship. He takes my phone calls. So those are the ones that usually become the longest sales cycles we deal with.
hmm
And those usually become the ones that are the least successful.
And what about Bill? I think we're talking about people involved, but I think there's another aspect of it. What happens when they really need our service and they're talking a lot about pain, and it's the first meeting and they're already saying, "Oh, Bill, why did I meet you 10 years ago?" Or, I've needed this ever since I became, the CEO of this organization. I
Mhm.
think in a moment that we have a solution, we hear pain, they're speeding it up. Have we ever been in a sales cycle or coached in a sales cycle where they're saying, wait, do we really need to do a proposal draft review? We're good.
Yeah,
I trust you.
right.
You came
Just
in
send
as
it
a
over.
referral. Yeah, just send it over.
hmm Yeah, I've been in those a lot of times, and actually, the weaker, more immature me would be really excited by those. That's when happy years kick in. That's when all the the adrenaline of the sale takes over. And you're like, yeah, we're going to move real fast. The problem is when that happens, we haven't given people the opportunity they need and they deserve to think through the process in their mind. We haven't given them the opportunity to truly examine all the things that could go wrong, to truly become comfortable with what it is we're asking them to do, or the solution we're providing and presenting. So that's not fair to them, right? And we find that those cycles are the ones that usually get sideways on us, and too often we can't recover from that. So it's in that moment when they're trying to go fast and we exhibit that professionalism, when we exhibit that maturity, that sales maturity, it says, oh, let me ask you a couple questions. Why now? What makes this so critical now? Because best I understand, you weren't looking for this service 2 weeks ago, but now all of a sudden we can't move fast enough. So what's happening? Right. And we need to be able to truly pump those brakes and make them think, make them feel, and make them articulate what's wrong now and why they feel so confident about us being the ones that can help them solve it.
Hmm. Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, that hurry up that we see from a lot of prospects. When's the last prospect that you met that said, "Hey, thanks for coming out. I want you to take as long as you can, as long as you want. I have nothing important that's happening in the next couple months. Give me a solution whenever you get around to it."
Yeah. Yeah.
Every
And if they're doing that, they're not real,
Yeah.
right? If they're doing that, they're just being nice, but they're not real.
Yeah. Everybody says, "Oh, I need this yesterday. We need to hurry up. We need to get 3 different bids." I think a great question back is, if they talk about an expedited process, we have to be asking, not that we're going to go do it, but I'd also ask, the expedited process of decision making and decision making process internally, because I think when they say fast, hurry up, speed, it's usually that they thought through the point of getting a proposal and they haven't necessarily thought what happens next, about who needs to see it, the checks and balances, the cross organizational structure, the finance needs to see it, procurement, legal. And so when people say, "Hurry up, I need it really fast," I'd be asking, "Okay, how do you expedite the process internally? Last time you've done something this fast, were you able to meet that time frame using project management internally?" Because it's equally as important if we can do it as
Hmm.
if they can do it when they start talking about expedited and fast timelines.
And you and I lived through a couple of these in Q4 of last year where people were really pushing for us to get them things quickly. And in turn, we had to ask about what's going to happen on their side, because just because we're able to turn something around quickly doesn't mean they can turn it around internally, because they still have processes that they need to deal with, and rightly so, things that need to get done. So, that's one piece of it. I think the other thing too, Matt, with the slowing down and speed up, is one reason people don't. Another reason people run so fast when they're given an opportunity is because we want to show off what we know. And I think we're oftentimes running to answer the wrong question. And we always like to say asking somebody more, giving somebody an opportunity to share more, truly lets the freedom that we give them, the freedom to speak the real truth, freedom to ask that real question, because that first question is rarely the real question. People oftentimes have a more difficult question they don't know how to phrase, they don't know how to ask it. And by us giving them that invitation to conversation of tell me more, it sounds like it lets them share that more freely.
Bill, let's use an example of that. Someone might hear, we get asked, "Hey, how many partners do you have in your organization?" Do they really
Well,
care? Do they really care if they're 6, 16, 60, 600, whatever that looks like? No, the real question that they're asking is, are you large enough to be able to service us? Or, will you, given all of your growth recently, will we still get that one-on-one attention that, we heard other clients get? So, to be able to slow down, I think that was a great point, Bill. It's in that capacity as well, not to rush and to jump to answers, especially if they're not the real question.
Yeah, and sometimes we know what the real question should be, and it's in moments like that that how we rephrase that or reposition that with the prospect is important for them because we know the questions they maybe should be asking. And in a situation like that, we might ask them, and it's the first time I've heard you ask me that, by the way. So it's a pretty impressive question. I was actually thrown off by that for a minute, but I might rephrase that and ask them, say, when you say partners, just so I understand, do you mean partners inside your organization or people we partner with, clients that we partner with? And understand what they really should be asking, right? Are they thinking about how many people do we have? Are they thinking about what's our partner and employee to client ratio? What is it that they're asking? What is it that they are really concerned about? And we need to make sure we give them that opportunity to speak freely. Another way we get that is with one thing questions and making sure we're asking somebody what the one reason they wouldn't work with us would be. If we come back next week and you say no, what would be the one reason why? And sometimes that comes up where they say, well, we're not sure about your size. Tell me the concern. What has you concerned about our size? And we had a situation last year with a client of ours where they said, well, if we're starting with like 80 people in this program, but we want to get to 300 or 400, how would you scale with that? And we were able to tell them about other clients we have that have 300 or 400 people globally that we're able to support and serve, and they felt more comfortable. But if we don't give them that opportunity to express that, they might walk away thinking, I don't know if that's the right size.
Hmm. Hmm. Bill, yeah, I know we've talked about it before, but I think it's a great opportunity to mention again about the one thing question, because the one thing questions do have the ability to not only be versatile in the sales process, but I think they're extremely applicable uh, with the topic at hand about slowing it down today. And we've talked about it before as well. Since we sell, and people always ask me, Matt, when do you fall off of process? It's very rare, only teasing. But I think it's usually when we're very comfortable with someone, and
Hmm.
it's probably for the both of us. Just
Hmm.
thinking of different examples. So I think when it's going positive, taking it negative with a one thing question, like you just did, Bill, we get together next week. What's the one reason why we wouldn't move forward with this or would be the selected partner? I think it's an awesome way to really get to the truth and to be able to hear the truth come out. Uh, Even if it's going bad and someone's looking at their watch saying, huh, okay, Bob, let's go, let's keep it moving. I have another
Hmm.
meeting. Doesn't mean
Hmm.
we can't ask one thing questions. I still think it's a great opportunity to, but wanted to drive home the point. When we're feeling great, when we've built that rapport, when that person across the table from us is a lot like us, when we've laid out a great solution and we're at a PDR and it seems to all be lining up, please, please, please take it negative and ask a one thing question. And that seems intense. That seems counterintuitive, especially when the sales cycle is going so great. But it is amazing what that will create, the atmosphere and what comes out of it from the prospect's mouth, and or what doesn't. And they say, "Oh, I don't know, Bill. Nothing. I think we're good."
Yeah, which is okay to hear too. But as Matt talks about one thing questions, I think the one thing we need to be asking ourselves as we leave today is, am I sticking to process? Do I get happy ears and want to rush forward and go real fast because I think people are excited and this could be a hot one? Um, do I have that? Do I have that maturity? Do I have that self confidence to slow it down a little bit, to get to that real truth, to give the person across the table from me the opportunity they deserve and they're looking for, to have all of their questions answered, to feel comfortable, to know that they're making a good decision rather than limping in. And that's what we need to ask ourselves. Those are the one thing questions that we need to ask ourselves. What's the one thing that gets me real excited and has me leave the process? What's the one thing I'm so afraid to hear that I won't be open and I won't give somebody an opportunity to share. And then, ultimately, I think you'll find the one thing that's extending your sales cycles rather than allowing you to accelerate them. So be honest with yourself, be honest with those who you're interacting with, and give them that opportunity by extending that dignity that they deserve. Give them that opportunity to ask those tough questions, to be honest with themselves and to be honest with you. And Matt and I believe that if you're able to slow down a little bit and stay in the moment, slow down and stay in that discovery phase, to stay in that discovery mode, that ultimately you're going to speed up your sales cycles, which is going to speed up your quota attainment, which is going to speed up some of the joy you might have and success you get to experience. So go out, have a great week. Thank you for spending some time with us. And we hope you have a great week selling and get things moving real fast so that we can hear all the success stories next week. So have a great week. Take care. God bless.